You are the individuals that I serve, and that's the hat that I wear, and that's where always I start, whether it's a land use decision, an economic development decision, an aviation issue, a parks and rec issue, is what would my residents expect of me? And you can't, of course, make everyone happy, but my goal is to make sure that I represent the public and taxpayers just as much. Thank you.
I will always vote in a way that reflects my values, my priorities, and represents my constituents. And whether I'm in the majority or minority side really won't be a determining factor for me, though I will certainly be cognizant of the fact that all of my colleagues will initially have more familiarity with the issues that will come before us, and their reasoning will carry weight with me. I think that it's premature and not responsible to commit to a vote before I have all of the information. I have really appreciated the outreach from the Airports Commission and from a number of pilots to talk with me and walk me through these issues, and I will continue those conversations and make sure that I'm not prematurely making any decisions, but waiting until all of the information is in front of me, making the best decision for our community and for my constituents.
Okay, thank you very much. So that is all the preset questions. So these questions are coming up now are ones that these candidates have not seen before. So we may not get quite the precise answers that we're looking for, but they'll still be good. So this first question was emailed to me. It's from a family business that's based in ReidHillview. And this will go, you answer last, so here, yes, this will go to Susan first. The county has coordinated the simultaneous termination of all the airport leases in 2021. Regardless of which current or future version of the business plan the board supports, by staff's own admission, it will take several years to figure out execution and implementation of that plan. Meanwhile, dozens of families running businesses at the airports need to make decisions and take action now so they can ensure to make payroll, pay personal mortgage, and feed their children beyond 2021. As a newly elected supervisor, what specific directive will you provide to Dr. Smith and his staff in order to allow these families to plan for their futures?
I think it's irresponsible to end all of the leases at the same time and without any transition plan. So my direction would certainly be to, if in fact they are not going to be renewed, is to work out a much more time staggered schedule so that families do have an opportunity to transition and adjust and figure out what and where comes next. More ideally, perhaps, if we really are continuing to strengthen the airport rather than letting it die, then I would argue strongly that the leases are renewed and that we make sure that we are supporting the local businesses that are already contributing to our economy and serving the community.
I think the issue for me and what I've heard and learned a little bit about is really a mistake for me right up front is that we're talking about a business plan rather than the airport master plan. And again, I'm not on the board, so I'm not familiar exactly where the current supervisors are following the lead or the staff's recommendation. But we should be first following the master plan for this facility, and the business plan should follow. So the question that I pointed out earlier, and I'll give you the hypothetical, if we're going to let it wallow and disappear, then let's call the question so folks know ahead of time, and we can just all move on with our lives and make plans for another alternative. But if we are going to keep this asset, then we need to invest in it, and then the business plan should follow. So again, that goes back to lands that we may see as surplus on this particular site. But we can't even answer that question until we really call the question around whether or not we're going to give up on this facility. Over and over again, I can say it one more time, I don't think we should give up on this facility. So that's the commitment we have to make first. Until we show that commitment, talking about the business plan, I think, is an afterthought.
Okay, thank you. This next question is going to be John first. I think we know the answer, but you can say it again anyway. Do you agree or disagree with the proposition that ReidHillview serves a vital role for the Silicon Valley and the county as a designated reliever airport, keeping small aircraft traffic away from San Jose International? And I'll add, why is that important?
I agree, it's a regional asset.
I agree that it is a regional asset, and far more than just because it's a reliever for San Jose International. This is an important hub for Angel flights, for Young Eagles flights, for flight schools for people learning how to become pilots. So I think that there are so many resources here, and again, something that I was talking about with folks earlier is that maybe the start of what we really need as part of this master plan is a much better marketing message. I think that a lot of the community beyond the pilot community doesn't know all of the things that are happening here, and while it may seem so obvious to you, I think that a large step toward really shifting the conversation and having the larger community view this as the tremendous asset that it is and greater asset that it could be, is to really share some of these stories, share the age of flight, share the number of kids that have been given their first flying opportunity, ideally for fun rather than for a medical emergency. Share with me the number of, me and the community, the number of new pilots that come out of this program every year. Show me also the diversity of those pilots. Are we getting more women? Are we getting more people of color to become pilots? These are all really powerful arguments to strengthen this asset rather than to let it fade away.
Thank you. This question, Susan, will go to you first. Would you support efforts to promote aviation-compatible developments at and around the airport, such as restaurants, hotels, service businesses that would benefit the surrounding community as well as airport users? And I think you've already answered the second half of this, which is, would you agree longer-term leases and a commitment from the county are necessary to accomplish this?
It'll be 2 minutes. Yes and yes, I think.
Yes and yes, and I remember back in, I'd say, the good old days where I was a council assistant, and I did eat at the restaurant that used to be over here. I think it was Carl Honecker that might have been the one who brought me out here to have lunch. And I'm not going to say it was the best food, but it wasn't the worst food.
Thank you. And this question, I'm surprised it didn't show up, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it because it comes up all the time at the Board of Supervisors meetings, and that is that the county has, since 2011, refused to take FAA grants. And I'd like to know from both of you, what is your position on taking FAA grants, and why should we take them, or why should we not take them? And I'll start with Tom.
We should take them, and it goes back to calling the question, are we going to maintain this asset as we should be accepting?
Yeah, I think part of the death by a million slow stabbings is because we haven't taken the grants. So again, making the decision first. If we're committed to keeping this airport open, of course we should take the FAA grants. And if there is going to be a decision to not do it, to not keep it open, then we need to be very clear about that too. But I really think that this lack of transparency and lack of clarity around what the real intention is slowly killing this airport. Okay, this is my last question here. This would be going to, you guys know who it's going to go to. Have you read the airport's business plan and the updates that have come out, especially the latest plan presented to the Hewlett in September? And do you have any other comments or reactions to that plan if you have read it? I have read it, both the 2006 and the 2018 update. And I certainly don't have, within a 2-minute span, a list of comments. I have lots of annotations, and actually one of my plans was to ask to go through the report, not in the midst of a forum, but in terms of in the context of a real conversation, because this is what I do. I'm a very thorough learner and come back with lots of questions.
Thank you. I got the question. There's a 2-part. Can you repeat it just so I make sure I got the second?
The first part was, have you read the plan? And then the second part was, do you have any comments or reactions to that plan?
Well, I think the first answer is going to be clear that I don't have any comments because I have not read the plan. And I want to be honest and upfront about this. Is the role of a city council member right now in San Jose is a pretty significant one, and I take it very seriously. So I'll get a little personal here. Is one, I'm a father first. 2, I have a city council job that I take very seriously and an obligation to. And every Tuesday we have a council meeting. And every Tuesday that staff is like this. So after Tuesday, Wednesday starts, I've got a committee meeting, and then we're preparing for the next council meeting. So come Thursday, Friday, we're back to the committee. Sunday, Monday, I'm now reading to the council report. So as much as I really wanted to do my listening tour and get really well versed in all the county issues, can you imagine having that much information as a county supervisor and that much information to run a city of 1 million people? So I'll be very honest and upfront, and I've done this in a number of forums, is in many cases I haven't had the luxury to read some of these reports. But should I be a supervisor, I'll be just as invested in that job as I am as a city council member. I am a policy wonk. That's what I'm best at. As I mentioned, I'm a horrible politician. But what I'm really good at is two things, and that's when we vote. I really enjoy reading the reports. I know it sounds crazy. But for me, that's what's expected of me, and that's what I signed up for. So I like taking a look at the staff reports and the recommendations and trying to find a better way to do things. And I really enjoy listening to them. My door's been open, and prior to this campaign, for 7 years, I had taken every meeting request, no matter who asked. The only reason that I've shifted gears is this campaign has taken up a heck of a lot of time, more than I expected. So I've sacrificed, honestly, more on the council and more in my personal life than I had hoped to. And forgive me for checking my phone, but speaking of family, I've got one kid in elementary, and it's Halloween fun night, and unfortunately, I had to leave him there with some friends because my significant other is dropping my daughter off at a concert in San Francisco, so I'm very, of course, as you can imagine, nervous if you've got a 9-year-old running around Halloween fun night and you're not there, and you don't know if he's running down the street down to 7-Eleven. So I'm not being rude, I'm just nervous the fact that my 9-year-old is with one of the parents I left.
So we actually are done with the cards. I have time for 2 more questions from the audience, 2 brief questions if there are any, or if everyone feels like their topics have been covered. Okay, we've got 1 and 2. So we're going to start with this gentleman.
Do you support the closure of ReidHillview?
I'm just wondering for an educational perspective, for someone deciding not to take the money in 2011, besides thinking they want to close the airport down, what other reasoning would they not do?
I would expect, and I can only speculate, is flexibility. Maybe they don't want to make a decision now. So that might be one of the options. You know, this issue has been bouncing around for decades, and I'm going to use the word bureaucrat, and I really believe in public service, and I've met a heck of a